Hey guys! So I know this is basically a copy of AdizzPro's video about, civilization starting over again. But not a full copy, because in this one, we're doing a completely different world for it. So, yeah, basically this is just where civilization starts all over again. So, the first tribe will start right here. So yep, they just got their small little, is it called an enclave? Okay, I think it's an enclave. I don't know what you call it, but whatever. So yep, they start like this, and they slowly emerge off the coast like this, and they also slightly go inland and on the other way. And, the expansion's going pretty well, but there's one problem. They decide to go inland because the king wants new food. And so far, they've had the most success getting new food going inland, so they just assume that'll work. So they go inland, and the king keeps demanding them go faster and faster. And eventually, they end up spending so much resources on it that, oh no, the citizens are revolting because they're starving because of how many resources it's taking. And then all these areas are becoming uninhabited because of all the people dying from starving, and also the revolt. And now, the country looks like this, but the king's also dead. So, it's not really the king's country anymore. So, another person tries to claim the country as the king, but that doesn't work very well with all the chaos that ensued the accident. So, we get many different countries here. And here's a weird one, the orange one that breaks off. This country is actually a republic this early on. That's pretty crazy. But yeah, so these people have a republic. But so far they're pretty tiny. And there's some loyalists over here who just have a new king, but they follow the same ideas as the old one. And then we got another country being made over here. Yeah, that's how much chaos that went on because of it. Another country over here that got formed, which is just basically ran by a bunch of aristocrats. And then over here are some people who are willing to give the new king a try. So, yeah, we got many new countries already here. So, we got the republic. The people don't really want to expand because they remember what happened last time. So, they just try to stay here. But the old loyalists don't like the revolutionary ideas that are spreading to their lands. So, they try to attack, and they take the initiative. But the thing is, the people who are invading begin to think about the Republic's ideas and start liking it, because of how much the influence of the Republic spread in their country. So they end up fighting for the Republic. And the peace treaty, well, actually, there wasn't much of a peace treaty, but they eventually did both agree to stop fighting each other. Which, yeah, that was enough of a peace treaty for all of them. And, yeah. And the new king, who didn't like the old king, decides to attack the loyalists. I see, with them already being weakened from that last war, they get swiftly demolished. And with the Republic seeing this, the people decide that they want to get in on this. So they snatch up a lot of the last land. But in the end, the blue team gets the rest. Oh. Oops. But yeah, the blue team gets the rest in the end. So yeah, so we only got 3 countries now. I know it pretty quickly removed one. And the purple team over here, just a group of aristocrats, decide to try to do a little expansion. Just not much, because they know what happened last time expansion happened. They just do a little bit of expansion. And they actually try to cut off the blue team. Now, the blue team doesn't really notice this so far, so it's okay. These two actually form an alliance. Kind of like modern day NATO, except way simpler. Basically just, if one of us are attacked, we help each other. And that's the only part of their alliance. But the thing is, with that just one part of it, that also causes them to just cooperate because they'll work together anyway. So they work together so much that the blue team ends up deciding, you know what, we should become a republic. So the king settles for just a high government position, permanent government position in the republic, and they unite. And the republic is doing very well for themselves, so they can afford to do some more expansion. And the purple team, still trying to cut them off, does a small risk and tried to cut off the orange team a bit. And they do a little more outwards expansion, but not much. The orange team sees this happening, and they absolutely hate it. They invade the purple team and have a huge success with so many people and just a lot of stuff. And by now, some capital cities have been constructed. This is the orange team capital city, and this is the purple team capital city. Now, the purple team cannot hold back at all, so they pull out a strategy: colonization to survive. They just use all their resources to, bam! They just go as far as they can. But, so the orange team just keeps going, claims the purple team's capital, and just goes on a goose chase with the purple team. And the purple team, this is how far they got. Like, they couldn't go any farther than this. And the orange team keep trying and keep trying. But the purple team over here, they ran out of resources. So they eventually had to retreat because this is all deserts and stuff and mountains. So there was no stuff over here. So they had to retreat. And then they eventually met up right with the orange team. And boom. The orange team now rules the entire world. And they do little colonization because, they are very dominant. They have a huge economy, many people, many resources. And it doesn't even matter about doing all this colonization because they have so many people and resources that it doesn't really hurt their economy at all. So they do this colonization at basically no expense. And they make some pretty nice borders for themselves. And they are pretty huge. And they're doing pretty well. But there's one problem. The blue team didn't really like colonization all that much. And remember, their old king has a pretty high position in the republic's government. So, they help purple team rebellions, and a small purple team center emerges here. And they emerge all over the nation. And then there's also blue team rebellions of places that didn't ever even be part of the blue team. And the orange team does manage to get rid of all these rebellions and kick the king out of power. But these were at a huge cost to their economy. So a new nation didn't like what was like all the bad stuff that was happening there. So they formed a nation here. And the orange team this is a really good piece of land, but the orange team can't afford to take it. But they do move their capital over here, so that it's no longer, like, in danger. And this new team puts their capital right on the coast. And they still really don't like the orange team, so they expand. And there's also some other pockets of them, of rebels. And they keep expanding more and more with even more pockets. And, like, they're doing really good. And, like, yeah, just all the orange people are rebelling. But the Orange Republic pulls out an ace of their sleeve. They make propaganda. See, their propaganda was telling everyone that this new dark red team was a dictatorship. And the orange team was way freer, which was actually pretty true. The dark red team was a pretty bad dictatorship. So it's not really propaganda very much. It's just the truth. But now that the people there have realized that already, and with the orange team's military becoming more loyal because of by knowing this now, they easily push back the dark red team, and the orange team is united again. Of course, they're still weakened from their former self. They're just a shadow of their former selves, of course, but they aren't doing that bad for themselves. So the orange team just stays how they are, just trying to stabilize things. They move their capital to the first ever land, basically, with humans in this world. And they, do pretty well for themselves, doing a little bit of colonization here and there, like this. And, yeah. Now, they do let people leave their country, which causes some pretty cool scenarios. Like, some people just left the country and just a little outside formed their own small country. And they're explorers. And they like exploring. But they can't really do that. So, for now, they're just this little nation right here. More and more people began to form their own countries outside. And it became a slight problem for the orange team. See, people leaving caused them to, lose people. And, in turn, lose economy. And that was pretty bad for them. So, they went to conquer the new green team. And it went pretty well. And they did end up getting the people to agree to outlaw leaving the country. But they did all agree that if they would get an ally in the future, or they would make an alliance with them, that people would be allowed to travel to their ally. But for now, they just do some slight colonization, just by themselves. But there's one problem. A new powerful king has an army that is trying to take over the orange team, and they end up becoming the leader by lying to the people. And the capital city is now part of the red team. Remember the red team? Well, it's back. They got some people who still liked it, and they try really fast to knock out the orange team. But luckily, the orange team was already prepared for this, as they have a pretty big city that they can just easily make their capital really far away, and they push back at the red team. But many more people than expected seem to like this new red team, so it ends up becoming a stalemate. And these are the new borders. Pretty straight lines, but a few like curves, and well, not really curves, but yeah. So these are the borders between the two nations now. And with people seeing how easy it was to just make their own nations, well, as at least looked like that. These people sent to the colonies to inhabit it, they didn't really like the team, because like the orange team, because the majority of the people just forced them to go there. So they revolted. And, these people were soldiers, so they were armed. So the orange team didn't really stand that much of a chance to kill them. So, and they got a really weak capital city, but it's still their capital city. So yeah, now we got a green team over here. And they actually managed to get a lot of the colonies of the orange team. Now, this alarms the orange team because their capital is like right there. So they move it here. But that's not enough for them because they're scared. So they push back against the green team. And they push back. And, of course, they're still extremely strong. So the green team is pushed back. But eventually the soldiers start getting, like, temptations to become disloyal because of all the pushing on a helpless nation. So, eventually the orange team has to stop their advance into the green team. But for now, the green team's just like this. And with how easy it is for the green team to colonize, because, they're just colonizers who revolted, they do a lot of colonization. While the orange team struggles to, because they don't have that many colonizers left. But they still do some colonization. And the red team, seeing no other choices, decided to try to send boats in just random spots, like here, just trying to find somewhere. And eventually, one expedition, after a really rough ride, ended up making it to the shores of this island. And it's crazy. Like, they never thought this would be possible. And they keep man, the guy who did this was an amazing voyager. So he was able to make it all the way back after going this far. Like, this has never been done before. It's never been that far. And he was able to go perfectly back to his nation. So yeah, he was pretty cool. And the red team managed to be the first to have overseas colonies. And the orange team and the green team eventually hear about this, and they are amazed. They're like, what? There's another island? But they don't have as good of voyagers as the red team, so they fail to try to make their own colonies in that island. But one attempt to do so by one of the orange team's voyagers went like this. They were going and going, but then he had a storm, and then it turns out that they're such bad voyagers. Well, it's not bad, but not expert, that they don't actually know how to get through storms. So they just ended up going with the storm's wind. But when the storm ended, they just got scared and went back. So yeah, they decided just to let the red team have this. But the red team didn't even do that much colonizing. They just made their little piece of land there. And the green team, did some more colonization since, it was pretty easy for them to do so. And they made themselves pretty big. And the orange team had managed to get themselves some new colonizers, so they did some more colonization. But they mainly tried to cut off the green team. And the green team sees this, and they get pretty mad. So they don't go to war with the orange team, but they enter their own cold war with the orange team. And they go, and bam! Their colonizers are so good that they were able to swiftly take this and take all of it. And then the orange team, their people went out of here. So the green team got all of this too. And wow, orange team's cut off. They're like, wow. But remember the Voyager from earlier? He actually got pretty good. And he went through the ocean over here. And he brought the best colonizers of the land. And he cut off the green team. And the green team, they weren't actually very good at going through the seas. So they couldn't do much about this. And the orange team, being pretty mad at the green team for trying to cut them off, decides to declare a pretty small war with them, where he just cut them in two. And they had to accept this. And you see, this area isn't that, Like now, there's basically just two green teams, and they can't really communicate with each other anymore. But they still are loyal to the same person. But they can't but the lime green team can't communicate to the green team's leader. So they're not really like their own nation. So like they're not really part of the green team. So the orange team just bam gets them. And they keep doing these small wars with the green team and doing them until the green team catches on to this. And they make many capitals, and they have different leaders all over. So the orange team can't just incapacitate them because they got different, basically just like states if you live in the United States, or provinces if you live in Europe, where all of them are basically independent. And they go back into the orange team, and it's very successful. And they end up getting this much of their old land back. And the orange team, they can't really do much about it. Unless they would want to do a full-on war with them, but the orange team's economy isn't that good, so they can't really do that. But, now this world has progressed pretty far. So that's where I'm going to end the video. You guys know my outro, or maybe you don't. Adios.